Hi, this is vlog 3. I'm not in my usual setting. I'm currently in the hospital. I've been in the hospital for about 6 days. So this video is just going to be like a backstory of why I'm in the hospital. I know it's quite dark right now, but just a public service announcement, I do end up like touching my face a lot, my hair, my glasses and stuff. So just like ignore that. Today is Sunday, it is Easter. And I was admitted into the hospital on Monday, this previous Monday. So when I went into the hospital, I was having symptoms of like vomiting, diarrhea, I couldn't keep any food down, I had stomach pain. And that morning I had went to see my pediatrician because I was throwing up all night. And she told me that I could have the flu and I was tested for it. I tested negative. And then she sent me to get blood work for Lyme's disease. And then I went home and I was still sick and I was still throwing up. And then my mom had reached out to my pediatrician again and she told me to go to the nearest hospital and get an IV because I was dehydrated. And when I was admitted into the ER, they told me that that was not the case. Like, I am dehydrated, but there's something else that's wrong. And they were doing a bunch of blood tests, ultrasounds, everything to look at my body to see what was wrong. And they didn't have an answer. They knew that my body was inflamed and that basically my organs were angry. Like, they were all just swollen, inflamed, whatever. They didn't have an answer for me. So I ended up staying overnight from Monday to Tuesday. And the doctors ended up telling me that they weren't specialized enough, so they had to send me to a bigger hospital where I'm currently at now. I had stomach pain the whole way here. It was not a good ride for me. But when I did get here, I was here by myself. My parents didn't ride in the ambulance with me because they had to drive here themselves. And I ended up getting here probably around 5 or 6. And I was bombarded with questions, like I had to repeat my story a few times to different people. And I met a bunch of different doctors, and there's a bunch of types of doctors that are working on my case. And for the first few days, they didn't have an answer. They had ideas of what could be wrong. They knew what was wrong with my body, but they just didn't have one cause. There was inflammation in my kidneys, in my lungs. I have spots on my hands, you know, just random symptoms. So they did an ultrasound because they had to retest really anything that the first hospital did. And they did an ultrasound on my bladder and my kidneys. And they were inflamed. We knew that my kidneys were inflamed. We knew that my body was messed up. I was throwing up the whole time I was at the first hospital, and I wasn't throwing up here. They were giving me fluids, you know, Tylenol, stuff that wouldn't hurt my kidneys. And the whole IV situation just doesn't work because my veins apparently are just very bad. So every time I have an IV, it needs to be changed like the next day because it doesn't return blood when they need it. The Tylenol was helping with my stomach pains, so I would feel good, but then as soon as the Tylenol wore off, I'd be back in pain, I'd be crying, you know, just in pain. And then like I previously stated, I had a bunch of different doctors working on my case. There are 3 main doctors. I had the infectious doctors, the kidney doctors, and the rheumatologists. And they were, you know, meeting as a group. There was a lot of people who were working on my story because it was not a very common one. They didn't know much of anything for the first probably 3 days I was here. They didn't know what was wrong with me. And I had a bunch of different nurses, you know, taking my vitals, taking my blood, stuff like that. And when I was at the first hospital, I was put on a strictly clear fluids diet. I wasn't allowed to have solids. I only had like liquids. And then when I got here, I like wasn't keeping anything down. I was very nervous. And they put me on an all solids diet. And I was still taking it easy, like, you know, trying just to have fluids because I was scared that I would throw it up. And then throughout the week, they started to figure out what was wrong with my body and what disease I have. And they told me that I had microscopic polyangiitis. They needed proof to say that. It was a very high up their idea. Like, they knew that's what it was. They just needed the proof. So I ended up getting a kidney biopsy about 2 days ago. Come in. So when I found out that I was going to have a kidney biopsy, I wasn't really worried about it. And what the biopsy was to prove was that microscopic polyangiitis is what I have. And they could either take a piece of my kidney or a piece of my lung or something like that. And basically, it's not a big surgery. What they do is they put me under anesthesia, and then they just like shove a needle through the tissue, and then they'll press a button and it'll click and grab a piece of my kidney. And they ended up doing that twice just so they could have like a good sample. And I wasn't worried about it. Like, it seemed like an easy procedure anyways. And then some of the other tests they were running before I found out about the biopsy was they were doing like sonograms of my heart, which is called an echo. And they had said that the echo didn't turn out good. They couldn't see what was on my heart. And the reason they were testing my heart to get an echo was because I have spots on my finger, if you could see that, that could be blood clots. And they told me that there could be a blood clot on my heart that's sending other blood clots to like my fingers. I'm sorry, my voice is really bad right now. So then they told me that there was another way to get an echo, and it would be to shove a camera down my throat. And I was just really worried about that for some reason, and that's the only part that I was worried about. Like, the biopsy didn't seem like that big of a deal, but for some reason I was really freaking out about this echo that they were going to do. And then the whole time I've been in this hospital, I was described as contagious or infectious, which is why I had the infectious doctors working with me, because they didn't know what was wrong with me. So every time a nurse would come in, they would have to gown up and wear a face mask and gloves. So I wasn't allowed to leave my room. And they told me on the day of my biopsy that I was not infectious. They knew what was wrong with me. It was a high up their decision. So I was allowed to leave my room. And they let me go for a walk. My dad was pushing me in the wheelchair, and we got to walk around for probably about 20 minutes before they called me back for my biopsy. And I did start to get worried. I have never had a surgery. I've never been under anesthesia. So it was kind of rough for me. I was really scared. And, you know, you gotta play it off. You gotta act like you're not scared. You gotta grow up, you know. And I was playing it cool, you know, like I'm not nervous. But I didn't know that I was going to have to get the echo. So when I came up here, there was someone waiting to get consent forms signed for my parents so I could have the echo, and I started to get worked up and I started to cry. And it was hard, and I was just very upset. It was a lot going on for me, and the whole time I've been here has been kind of stressful because I didn't know what was wrong with me, and I didn't know if there was a treatment. And microscopic polyangiitis is a very uncommon disease. Less than 100 kids in the United States are diagnosed with it. So I was scared. I didn't know if there was a treatment. I didn't know if the biopsy would work. And they ended up taking me down, and they gave me medicine to make me relax through my IV, and then I went in and I had the surgery. It only took an hour, and then I woke up and I was still loopy from the anesthesia. And when I came back, I was in my room, and they were, you know, just talking to my family or whatever. I didn't remember much because I was still looped up. And they changed my diet from solids to low sodium diet, which means I can't have a lot of salt because of my kidney. I woke up yesterday and my throat was very sore from the tube being pushed down, because once you get on a low sodium diet, you realize how much sodium is in all of your food. And sodium was not good for my kidneys because my kidneys are like leaking, I guess. And my siblings came to visit me yesterday. They were here with me all day yesterday, and we had a fun time. We played hockey. We just hung out.
Come on, Jeff. What are you doing? Put the brake on.
And then the doctors come in every morning to explain like what the plan is for the day, what they're gonna do, what they know. And they told my parents that this is what I have. I have microscopic polyangiitis, and it is something that I'll have to live with, and it can come back. So what happens is that they're giving me 3 sets of steroids. Stop. And then
Dummy boy there.
like I said, my siblings came to visit yesterday, and then I woke up this morning in a great mood.
But tired.
I'm very exhausted. My body hates me. And they ended up taking me off the IV fluids. And they only plug me in when I need to get my dose of steroids to treat my disease. And the way that they do this is that I get the 3 sets while I'm in the hospital, and then in 2 weeks I'll have to come back for more. And then isn't it 6 months after that? Every 6 months?
Something like that, yeah.
Every 6 months I'll have to come back and get another dose just to make sure it doesn't return, so I don't die. I'm not gonna die.
It's probably swell up like a whale.
Yeah. And the fluids that they've been giving me has made me gain a lot of weight. I gained 12 pounds water weight. And water weight's the hardest to lose.
Yeah, because especially with bad kidneys, you can't just quit drinking.
Yeah. So that's where we're at now. I'm getting my treatment. I'm guessing that I'll be discharged by next coming Wednesday, maybe even Thursday, who knows. I've not been going to school. I've not been seeing any of my friends.
No homework.
I'm gonna go back to school. My teachers are gonna hate me because I don't know what's going on. And yeah, and then even when I get home, my doctor said don't go to school for another week, and I said I don't know about that. That's not kind of sounding like it. And that's where I'm at now. I'm here. I'm getting treatment, and that's that. What else to add? Nothing. Anything you would like to add?
Nothing.
Nothing. It's all the same.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. That's where I'm at now. And then when I get discharged, I'll probably make another video. Who knows? Stay tuned. Yeah. Stay tuned for that one.
The end.
The end.
Finn.